A sharp increase in Venezuelan arrivals is contributing to a recent spike in migration along the US southern border. And our next report gets you more details that highlight the limited resources.
In the United States, there's a perplexing situation. On one hand, there are millions of job openings, ranging from 9 to 12 million at times, but they remain unfilled. These empty positions have a significant impact on the economy, potentially costing the nation over $1 trillion in annual production. It's a staggering loss. Simultaneously, there are countless individuals worldwide who aspire to come to the US to work. For many, it remains the ultimate destination, a shining city on the hill, as some would say. This is a sentiment confirmed by surveys, with the United States consistently ranking as the most popular place for people to emigrate. The allure of the US for immigrants is clear. It boasts the world's largest economy and seemingly endless opportunities. Yet the complexity arises from American immigration policies, which often hinder employers from hiring unskilled migrants. The reasoning behind these policies revolves around the protection of American workers. This issue has become a divisive topic in American politics. Claims are made that immigrants, both illegal and undocumented, are taking jobs away from American citizens. Public opinion is split down the middle, with 51% of Americans expressing concerns that immigration might reduce the number of available jobs. Compounding this issue is the ongoing immigration crisis at the US border. In the fiscal year 2022, there were a staggering 2.7 million encounters at the border. This situation results in a sort of bum rush, where those who determine the fate of this supposed labor vacuum are the individuals showing up at the border, rather than the United States Congress or its voters. At present, the immigration crisis reaches historic proportions, both in terms of the number of people violating the law and the unprecedented backlogs faced by the legal immigration system. This backlog creates barriers for those seeking legal entry into the country. Furthermore, the US faces a critical issue: a dwindling workforce. With only 5.8 million unemployed Americans, but nearly 10 million open job roles, the numbers simply don't add up. What exacerbates this challenge is that a significant portion of the US population is aging out of the workforce. This demographic shift not only threatens innovation, but also the factors that have traditionally driven economic growth. When you examine the facts regarding the US population and its workforce, it becomes apparent that this issue is more than just a policy debate. It's a complex and multifaceted challenge that requires thoughtful consideration and action. The implication of these immigration policies and their impact on the economy are significant and warrant a closer examination in our changing world. In the 1970s, the United States faced a vastly different demographic landscape. At that time, there were approximately 15 older individuals, often retirees, for every working-age American. Today, this ratio has dramatically shifted to 25 or more older individuals for each working-age person. This shift has been particularly pronounced in the last decade. Adding to this challenge is a declining birth rate in the United States, which means there will be fewer young Americans to fill the growing number of open job roles. In an ideal global resource allocation scenario, it's evident that the US needs an infusion of younger talent, and many are eager to come and contribute. It becomes a no-brainer to harness this potential for the benefit of the country. However, the key lies in doing so legally and fairly. If the US aims to bring in a large number of young, skilled, English-speaking and healthy individuals to address the skill gaps and demographic imbalances, it can do so strategically. This isn't merely a compassionate decision, it's a practical one for the nation's future. Currently, there's a substantial demand for labor in the United States, with almost 1 million temporary foreign work visas granted in 2022 alone. This surge in migration in recent years, particularly under the current administration, is directly tied to the increased number of job openings, which have reached historic levels. The debate over unfilled job positions needs to be balanced with the reality of people who have withdrawn from the workforce and are no longer actively seeking employment. Historically, there have always been job opportunities for those willing to accept lower wages. However, as more people arrive in the US, finding legal work becomes a challenge. Immigration discussions have largely centered around the ability to work. In 1986, Congress enacted the Immigration Reform and Control Act, aiming to prohibit unauthorized employment in the US. It offers amnesty to approximately 3 million undocumented immigrants in exchange for future enforcement, including a system called E-Verify. The concept behind E-Verify was simple. Any employer looking to hire an individual would check their employment authorization in a federal database. If the response was negative, the person couldn't be hired. However, while the amnesty part of the bill was implemented, the work authorization aspect never fully materialized. This gap created an unintended magnet, allowing people to work in the US without authorization and receive off-the-book payments. Ultimately, the intended purpose of the Immigration Reform and Control Act wasn't realized, contributing to the ongoing complexities of immigration and labor in the United States. Immigration plays a crucial role in filling the employment gaps in the United States, and work authorization papers is the gateway to aligning them with open job roles, contributing to economic growth. Various visa categories cater to different needs. There are visas for entrepreneurs, visas for professionals in specialized fields, and visas for individuals who possess extraordinary abilities. These visas aren't just about taking American jobs, but rather about bringing in skills that aren't readily available within the domestic workforce. Major US tech giants like Google, Amazon, and Meta rely on this visa system to recruit talent for roles that require exceptional skills. For instance, the O1 and EB-1A visas demand proof of extraordinary abilities, while the H-1B visa necessitates at least a bachelor's degree. The L-1 visa, on the other hand, requires employers to have pre-existing relationships with the US and foreign-based companies. Consider the H-1B visa as an example. It was designed to temporarily fulfill the demand for highly skilled labor that Americans couldn't readily provide. Ideally, in a functioning market, this would encourage Americans to pursue such careers, driving up wages. However, the H-1B visa, often associated with slightly lower wages, has not allowed the market to respond as anticipated, leading to ongoing skills shortages. The green card system in the US is notably restrictive. The majority of immigrants enter through family ties, with limited opportunities for employer sponsorship. The bureaucratic hurdles to sponsor a foreign worker are formidable, taking 2 to 3 years on average. This system doesn't cater to lesser skilled positions, further exacerbating workforce shortages. Beyond work visas, immigrants can legally come to the US through family-based immigration, student visas, the diversity visa lottery, seeking asylum, or claiming refugee status. However, over the years, these pathways have narrowed and become more challenging to navigate. Foreign-born workers have increasingly become part of the US workforce, accounting for 18.1% in 2022, up from 17.4% in 2021. While there have been isolated cases of discrimination against US workers in favor of foreign-based employees, the data shows that immigrants often contribute positively to the job market. It places a strong emphasis on talent and offers a relatively straightforward legal pathway for individuals to realize their full potential. This approach is not solely driven by compassion, it's rooted in economic self-interest. With an aging population and declining birth rates, Canada understands that to sustain economic growth, there must be a steady influx of consumers, workers, and taxpayers. There is a growing movement to shift the burden from migrants having to prove why they should be allowed to enter the United States to the government demonstrating why they should not. Advocates argue for simplifying the immigration process and recognizing the numerous valid reasons people want to live and work in the US. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. Enable notifications and stay tuned to learn more about your economy.